Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the UKLC. I'm still Viper and still joined by Jamada, and we're going to be jumping into our final game of the day very, very shortly. MNM are taking on Nvision, and Jamada, this game has such massive ramifications for how the leaderboard is going to look out. But let's look at these two rosters. Who's been impressive on these two?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think on the Nvision side, you definitely have to highlight Spark. BB Muffin's actually stepped up a fair bit from the previous split, where he's moved away a little bit from primarily being the utility sort of bot for the team, and we're actually seeing him on a few more carry champions. He had an Akali performance, and he's had a few other picks, which effectively just aren't Lulu or Orianna. That's kind of the fun thing for me. And even seeing Akkas occasionally be on some carries and not just full tank duty is definitely cool. And then looking towards MNMA, I mean, you can kind of highlight almost everybody at one point or another. I think this roster has honestly kind of been the most exciting to watch. Whilst, of course, yes, Resolve clean sweeping everything, the games are kind of boring sometimes. They just slow choke out teams. But MNM, they love to fight, so that normally means we get to have a lot of fun on the cast. That's typically
That's
how
the
it
dream,
goes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the optimal. The teams don't have to win for us to win. For us to win, we just have to see lots of team fighting, lots of amazing gameplay. But I'm really, really excited to see how this Nvision roster plays, because they're an organization that has surprised us time and time again. They've always done exceptionally well when a lot of people haven't necessarily given them the credit they deserve. And weirdly enough, I want to highlight the backroom staff from Nvision. Fire Vortex been there a couple of seasons now. He's been here for quite some time. And yes, the players have chopped and changed, but the success hasn't. And when that's the case, you have to start looking beyond the players on the Rift for where the goodness is coming from. And I think that a lot of it has to go back to the coaching team.
Yeah, no, I definitely have to agree, especially coming from coaching history myself. Especially in the UKLC, I feel like you can typically sort of differentiate the teams which have very strong levels of discipline and teams that are a little less disciplined. And a lot of that is drilled in by backroom staff, by the coaching staff. So yeah, honestly, Nvision have looked really, they've looked like the better they've been on the better end of teams in that department, definitely. So very excited to see how they're going to match up into MNM, who, whilst you may not necessarily associate this iteration of MNM with discipline, their fights typically are over things. They're normally over objectives.
They're not normally randomly running into
they're normally over very important things to the game. So they're not just fighting to fight, though sometimes it can definitely feel like that. They are typically fighting for the end goal of something. So how Nvision respond to that, I think, is going to be the key thing. Looking at a lot of the drafts, specifically in recency from MNM, they've been a little more out there, a little more unorthodox to what we've seen. Right, we've seen Tyrex on. He piloted Fizz, I believe, last week, right? Which is a champion we just don't see. It's just not in the meta. But he had it prepped as a counter pick to I want to say it was London, and honestly, they kind of just rolled them with the Fizz pick. He's been on the likes of the Aurelia 2 in the mid lane, which we've only really seen, I believe, from Thomas Go. DBL's also had a Kled game. So this team, they like to pick champions which fight. And as you can see, we're here into pick and ban. Red side bans from Nvision, nothing too special. Olaf and Pantheon. But from the MNM side, of course, are going to be seeing that Lulu banned away. And the Seraphine, of course, from BB Muffin, of course. We just don't want to see him on utility champions, right?
Yeah.
He's been on them for so long. I feel like teams are starting to get a little bit bored. These are starting to become very common bans into Nvision. And I think rightfully so, because when he is on these champions, he propels the likes of Spark up, he propels Akkas up, he propels Yuna up, and it can be a very big thorn in the side of teams to deal with.
And there are still some utility champions available. Don't get me wrong, there's still opportunities for him to go with that style if he wants, and there's the Fizz.
Wow.
Get rid. Don't give Tyrex Fizz.
The side effect of that is you've got the Udyr and you've got... Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You've got Udyr and you've got Talia up. In this case, it seems like Kazura wants to pilot that Udyr. So now it's going to be about what the response actually is from Nvision. They want to try and match the jungle pace with Lilia. They're going to pick up the rail, which you've seen have pretty much full success. I think 100% win rate today with the rail pick, unless one of the losing teams that got smashed decided to pick it up, which would be a bit sad. But I think Fast Leg picked it up, and then who else? Trying to think.
It was played in the first game of the day. It was played by, I believe, Barrage played it.
Yeah, and Barrage won. So there you go. We're going to see now Thresh Response, which I think is one of the few champions that does relatively well or pretty well into the rail. Just the range disadvantage means that he can flay her out of things like that W dash. And we're going to see the Xayah pick up, actually prioritizing the Xayah over the Kai'Sa, which Xayah does pretty fine into the champion anyway, so pretty much preference for Harry there. So full bot lane lock-in and full bot lane response from Nvision. This does mean now that if MNM want to remove away some more utility champions from BB Muffin's pool, things like Orianna as well still up, you're going to see them ban away the Zoe. I definitely can, and Nvision probably want to hit on some of these more unorthodox picks. You can already see Irelia there. I wouldn't be too surprised to see it followed up with a Kled.
Could be, and that'll be an interesting one to take up the table. Of course, you don't see that very often, but as you said, MNM like to play stuff that's a little bit less conventional. Their taste can be a little bit more decadent in that way, and it's good for me seeing coming from places where you talk about like, wow, Fizz is so crazy, as the Gallia is banned on the table, where it's like, I've seen Lane Vern this season, I've seen Malphite mid into Viego mid. There's a lot of champions that have come across my picks and bans, but Renekton, the last one taken off the table. So top lane has been squeezed, but the Kled is still there, as Orianna will be the pickup.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't want to remove away the Orianna to really make BB Muffin sort of dig deep into his pool. So BB Muffin's going to be on comfort, but I mean, we saw last week Tyrex pick up the Fizz into the Syndra. He probably would have picked it into the Orianna. I wonder if he's got anything else crazy in his locker, or whether we're just going to see something a little more standard, and it seems like that's finally going to be the case out of the MNMA mid lane. And we're going to see Victor, and now DBL up to him on what he wants to blind pick. Still do have the likes of something like an Ornn, some of the other more conventional tanks. Trying to think about some of the other bruises. They do have the Aatrox still up, but Aatrox could potentially struggle into some of what Nvision are running. So it would be a very nice self-sustaining pick, but also the set, the only other champion I failed to mention here, champion that DBL honestly does kind of lean on in some of these blind scenarios, where if he feels like the enemy top can't really match him in picks and he's expecting a tank, he'll just lock in the set blind. And only top laner in the league that still plays this champion in the top lane. We'll have to see how he makes use of it, depending on what the matchup is, but Nvision sort of in dire need of some hard engage, and I feel like the Ornn is just going to be that answer. So a big beefy frontliner for this set to slam back in. I feel like both these team compositions are, or both these teams are very happy with the compositions that they've drafted.
I'm looking at this one, I'm seeing instantly, I'm looking at that Nvision roster and going, yes, I like this. This is all of the things that a play loves to see. Huge Divite ultimates. You've got Ornn, you've got Orianna. You've got Lilia ultimate as well, but it's less flashy, so I don't shout about it as much. You've got champions like Rel, who can do a really, really nice amount of engage alongside someone like the Ornn. You've got Kai'Sa cleaning up the backline, doing so much damage. We've seen how much this pick can do already today in our game between London and Bulldog. Absolutely cleaning up. And then I look over at MNM Academy's lineup, and I'm like, all the same kind of pieces are there, but like it's in a much less conventional way.
Yeah, and unconventional seems to be kind of the name of the game for MNM. They've got champions who, all with the exception of really Victor, do pretty well in early game skirmishes. Victor realistically needs that Chaos Storm, that level 6 sort of in pocket to really, keep up with the pace that I believe MNM are likely to try and set in this game. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think the only thing that I am seeing a bit of a lack of is immediate hard engage from the likes of this MNM draft. It should be Nvision picking some of these fights with the Rel, with the Ornn, but I still feel MNM have a lot of good reactive tools to engage anyway, so they should be okay in that regard. I think scaling though definitely leans in the favor of Nvision. They've got the Kai'Sa, they've got the Orianna, and then of course they've got the Ornn to sort of buff up the gold efficiency of some of their items. And of course Lilia, I mean, she scales fine in this game just specifically because it's sort of moderate to low range for most of these champions.
Yeah, there's not that much is going to be able to just poke her out. In fact, MNM only have one range champion on their, oh, they have two, but Victor's not really.
I mean, Victor's kind of, I mean, his laser's kind of long range, right? His Arcast is sort of medium-ish range. I mean, it really depends on your definition, right? Because, Xerath is really crazy. But we're on to the Rift. It's enough about
We're here. We're into game right now. We've got MNM on the blue side. We've got Nvision on the red side. And we've got our final game of the evening on the first day of Super Weekend. Triple games days for you Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Always love to see a bit more UK League of Legends, but you know what, Jamada? I'm furious.
Why?
We have not seen one full invade as a 5-stack today. All the teams out here.
We saw a late.
Yeah, we saw a late invade, which the intention wasn't to get a kill there. The intention was to get the buff, which is boring. I want to see the teams fighting.
Okay. I mean, look, you want to see teams fight. Great. That's a great statement to have just said in this game, because I'm sure we're going to get a lot of that out of MNM. Now, one thing I definitely want to highlight in this game is we're going to have to keep our eyes on both Kazuro and Yuna in terms of jungle pacing, just because Udyr, as I have very recently found out, his clear speed is bonkers. You're going to...
It really is.
Yeah, for anyone who's not familiar with this champion yet, just watch how fast he full clears this jungle, right? He's going to probably go down to the Krugs after this, and he's going to be done with a full clear, all 6 camps, by about 310. He's gonna finish this full clear before Skunk.
Okay.
Whereas Lilia, Yuna, who's actually started off solo, are gonna be a lot slower. It's probably gonna be done closer to sort of that 225, 230 mark. Even though Lilia, oh, okay, so she's skipping out on the Crux, so gonna be down a camp in tempo, but gonna have finished the clear at roughly the same time. So you're gonna see Kazuro in this jungle matchup should be up in CS for a majority of it, just because of how fast this champion clears. And you can see doesn't really lose a bunch of HP either, as the Smite item gives you so much vamp on this patch, as level 2 has been hit here for the bottom side of both teams, but I'm gonna see too much crazy action.
No, they've been a little bit aggressive. Longstaff especially has been stepping up, trying to get something going, but nothing doing with the Thresh and the Zarya. Of course, being able to just flay away any kind of engage is always going to be helpful in dissuading any damage, but T-Rex getting the push up, getting a little bit of priority, and the ward down on the Raptors will show that they've already been taken away, but always good to get a little bit more information to understand where Lily is. But yeah, Udyr already onto that Gromp, and that is an exceptionally fast clear, which will put him in very, very good stead to grab this first scuttle. Of course, Lilia doesn't want to be anywhere near the Udyr when that happens, checking out to see if anything is still up in the jungle. It's not Lilia, sorry to disappoint you, but we'll be able to trade away the scuttle. So yeah, Lilia skipping a camp does mean that she's on parity, but Kazura is going to be very, very happy with how fast things are going to be able to accelerate from here, and could look to get onto the map a little bit more.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So Kazura is now going to reset, and he's going to have full tempo advantage. Probably going to pick up either tier 1 boots or like double ruby, or just both. As you're going to see, you can already see the Krugs are respawning. So he's going to be there basically as they respawn to take them back down immediately. And Yuna's just finished the Skull Crab. Just now. He's just finished the Skull Crab now. Whilst Kazura has come back out onto the map, and he's already clearing what is technically his 8th jungle camp, but he's looking for a gank actually on the side.
Play on to Spark, damage coming through. Regan needs to be careful, but so does Spark, who's going to be taken down for first blood, and the stun comes through on to Longstaff. I don't know if there's enough damage left on Kazuro to pick up the second kill of the fight. There won't be able to, as Longstaff is able to flash away. But first blood going over to MNM on the pot side.
Yeah, and honestly, just very nice 2v2, very good death sentence to actually kick things off in that fight as well. And you're just going to see now Kazuro gonna immediately full clear all the way back in. And I like what Yuna's doing. He's actually checking the jungle camps to see if they're there right now. But unfortunately, because of the path Kazuro took, they aren't gonna be there, and he doesn't really feel like sticking around. But he does get the vision down, so that's important. So they're gonna be able to track Udyr throughout his entire clear, so they will know where he is. But he's already level 5. He's got 3 more camps to clear, and Regan just standing still, DC. I'm not sure. Lots of death sentence on the Spark either way. It's a very nice bait, I guess. And Harry picks up the kill onto the AD carry. Spark doesn't even get to flash, and Kazuro tries to follow through with the flash bear slap. Does force Longstaff's flash. And that's pretty much the end of the play, and you can already see now the sort of jungle CS difference. When we speak about Udyr, whenever Udyr's in the game, I feel like I'm gonna speak a lot about it. He's actually just draws so much attention. Yeah, he kind of takes over the game a little bit, and sometimes the cast does. Yuna actually, and Nvision, gonna try and start up this early dragon, which I don't feel like MNM are gonna be all too fussed about. However, when you do have a winning bottom side, it does feel a little bit bad to give over the first dragon. However, you can already see Kazuro making a beeline towards the mid side, potentially gonna try and do some jungle invading.
And then hang it around. They're looking potentially to try and get something going, but aren't able to do so. And Ude moving back towards that top side could find Krogs and actually ping onto them in the top lane. So could either look for a play onto the Ornn or to just grab that sitting gold as Longstaff out behind. Tower just making sure that Spark's going to be okay, which all looks good and happy. So MNM going to be clearing out Vision in the river and maybe even looking for a roam up mid, but Regan not so convinced actually. Might go down towards that bot side, but things are looking good for MNM so far, but there's not too much between these two teams. But looking at the gold, something is clearly amiss, and Akaz actually goes unstoppable, needs to be careful. Flash forward and the dunk backwards as Kazero's come here as well as holding onto that stun, gets it as the flash goes off, and Akaz in a lot of trouble, looking to get under the tower, will be able to survive. Cooling the horn, might be looking to bash someone in the air, will be able to find Kazero, but doesn't want to follow up for the potential kill, as he knows the 2v1 isn't favored.
Yeah, just a little bit of a micro misplay, I believe, because Zero walked in with turtle stuns up. So, yeah, didn't actually stun up the Ornn, as Yuna's going to take the opportunity to try and slip in and pick up this red buff. But MNM actually have full information. And with some rotations coming in, it actually forces Yuna out. And MNM successfully defend their jungle camps. So, very nice. You don't often see that, where teams will attempt to defend their team's jungle camp very often. In the UKLC particularly, teams will just throw their junglers to the wayside. They really don't care.
As they should be.
As they, wait, whoa.
Wait, what? No, what? Sorry, my mid laner was showing again. But it's good to see, because especially when a play is being made top, it seems very free for Unit to go in and try and get a play, try and deny something from Kazero for a play top. And since the play failed top, it would have been pretty bad if Unit had managed to grab that, but being able to chase him out of the jungle and denying Lilia a way back into the game in terms of farm. Yeah, Lilia's not too far behind, but Udyr kind of being the one dominating the tempo, dominating the play so far, and denying the Lilia opportunities to make an aggressive play is always going to help with that. So we're moving to about the 8-minute mark. Things are slowly but surely getting further and further ahead for MNM, and you promised me that this team liked to fight a lot, Jamada.
Yeah. Look. Just wait, all right? Just a little bit of patience, and I'm sure they'll start scrapping real soon.
Right. Okay.
You just bear with them. You know, they've got Udyr, right? So they want Udyr to just farm up first. And once he gets that, what's the Hextech?
Chemtank.
Chemtank. Yeah, there you go. I'll get used to saying the item eventually. You will just see they'll just start running out. They won't stop. They will just sprint. And I'm surprised that Kazuro actually gave the blue buff over to T-Rex, but you know, feeling pretty generous. Looks like could be potentially seeing a play made onto the top side, but just gonna start the Herald. There's no jungle camps on the bottom side for Unit to cross map, and there's a wave coming back into Harry, which is gonna crash right about now. So Regan is a little bit off tempo with being there to make sure that his AD carry doesn't get dove. When you've got a flash and a Featherstorm to work with, you're not really too scared of getting dove unless we're talking 3 or 4 mans. And Kazuro's going to pick this one up pretty much for free. He's even got the Skull Crab there for himself. And if he feels like staying on the top side, he can drop the Herald there. He's got Yuna's jungle camps to pick up as well. So he's got quite a few options. And once he sees the likes of the Nvision play start to happen on the bottom side, we could just see that. Sleep's not going to be cast, but Nvision doing the right thing. They're trying to make a play on the bottom side, but it's just not really enough. There's no available from Longstaff right now, and with so many defensive tools from this MNM bot side, it's just so difficult to dive. And there you go, Kazuro on the top side farming up a storm. You've got that mid lane priority from T-Rex, and with the Herald in pocket, T-Rex making a rotation up to the top side. Flash down here. Ooh.
Engage is coming through, but none of it landing, so both bot lanes will be stepping away. But
yeah,
Kazero maybe looking for a play in the top side, looking to keep these minions away from the tower, and with that Rift Tower dropping now, it should be able to secure the first tower of the game for MNM Academy. And Kazero has been all around the map, and while he hasn't been involved in a kill yet, he's definitely left an impact on some of these lanes.
Yeah, definitely left a pretty big impact, and honestly, DBL is building up such a large CS lead, which is not even really got much to do with Kazuro being here.
That gold.
Yeah. He's up 30 CS over his counterpart, and MNM may just end up giving over this dragon, though they are actually dragging DBL down here. And I mean, if MNM do have the numbers, they'll fight for this. They won't actually let Nvision take up this dragon.
Regan just going to sidestep that bowling ball. Doesn't want to get that hitting him. And this dragon Infernal for the second one. We saw the Ocean first time around. And Nvision don't look like they want to be giving this one up, but Spark might have been caught with the Death Sentence Flay coming through, and as does Spark. Spark moving away now, but might be caught out by Harry. Takes a decent chunk of damage. Is forced back, but it's just Longstaff on his own. They're trying to get a bit of damage down onto the Zaya, who's forced to heal as well as he tries to escape T-Rex. Looking to get into the fight, but Akaz and BB Muffin are following him. Longstaff is still trying to continue this fight, but will be going down. Yuna looking to escape, gets the sleep onto 2, and Spark is there as well. You can see Harry dying up on the top line as BB Muffin has entered the fray. Regan actually up Creek and will go down. Kazira on the wrong side of the map has to run away. Should be able to do so. The Yuna is also pretty fast. Finds onto T-Rex. And nice too-much shockwave will land. DBL goes down. Kazira running to the win. T-Rex also going to be chased away. And Vision will be looking to pick up this dragon. And just as things start looking really, really good for MNM, Nvision turn on the style and win the fight.
Yeah, and I mean, whilst, yes, definitely Nvision respond to the play correctly, MNM kind of just overcommitting a little bit too hard. And mechanically, I think fumbling quite a few things in that fight. We are just going to see Kazira actually start this one up, though. Longstaff in area. I mean, I don't know if he really wants to hop on top of it here, even if he's this low. With no Ignite, I don't think he's got the lethal ranges, so he's just going to back away, and it will be MNM at the end of a very... Oh, yeah, let's not take that one, guys.
You can still cast a line. You don't need any bait on there, and Longstaff going to just ride away into the sunset. But let's have a look at how this happened.
Yeah, so initially, it's because Spark's on Vision. Regan throws out the hook, but they take the landing right on top of the bound target from Rel. And I'm not sure where so much of this burst damage comes from onto Harry, but he just loses about 400 HP in one single chunk. And he's forced to flash, forced to heal, used all of his defensive tools. And he's effectively forced out of this fight into the top side. Kazira finally enters with the flash, but Yuna comes over, gets the double sleep. But on the top side, Regan's doing his damnedest to keep his AD carry alive, but it just quite simply isn't enough. Isn't quite able to escape, and all in all, it's just very disjointed from MNM. They weren't really all there to make that fight happen in the way that they want to. It's a very nice shockwave to lock in the front line left from MNM, as now trying to make a play on the bottom side.
Oh, gets the flay down onto Longstaff. He's going to try and jump away, but he will be able to catch the Death Sentence, and that should be all that she wrote for Rel going down with the ultimate. Called onto all 3 members, but nothing doing in the bot side as MNM Academy pick up a kill. But in the top side, though, DBL actually managed to grab one himself onto Yuna. Needs to be careful as Akaz will return. The revenge kill is there. Well, we're very interested to see how that happened.
Yeah, very curious as to how that ever happens, especially with such a gold disparity in the favor of that set, as BB Muffin could be cooked up here.
Really nice Death Sentence, nice play as well. BB Muffin looking to get back towards his tower. The shockwave is huge, as Victor Ultimate will not do enough damage. He's going to be able to get back under his tower, but you can see the Kazero, he's hanging around. He wants to make a play happen, just going to be happy enough killing these minions, as opposed to killing the Orianna as he backs away into the jungle.
Yeah, and pings onto that blue buff. They're looking to take away that jungle camp just as they exit, but Zero's going to have to be careful, because Nvision do have numbers potentially in the area, but with T-Rex on his way, he's just going to come and snag away the blue buff over the wall. And here we have a nice replay of this engage, and it's just a good, nice usage of abusing the fact that Longstaff doesn't have flash. So pretty much walk up, grab the lantern. Not much to be said there. And oh, it's a 2v1 play. All right, never mind. So that's why DBO ends up in this situation. He actually trades 1 for 1. Didn't quite pick up on the fact that he managed to take down Yuna. I don't know if you did, but I certainly didn't.
Yeah, I think I saw him get the kill, but I didn't see how, and then I was like, oh, and now Ornn's here, so that's fun. But it's good to see the aggressive play from DBL, and the MNM roster have started to come a bit online, trying to speed things up a little bit, but do they have enough of a gold lead to start trying to really be aggressive, to really take the fight to Nvision?
Yeah, I think they're definitely sort of in that range now. I think they probably want T-Rex to pick up his mythic, and then once he has, I believe that's the components for Leandri's, they'll feel a little more competent in taking fights pretty much as they please. Udyr's got that Hex Tech. The Chem Tank Isle. He's got the Chem Tank.
You did it! Yay! It's only taken you 4 games.
It's only taken me 4 games and 4 weeks, but I've got there in the end.
And all of preseason.
And all of preseason, yeah, so really looking at about 3 months of a League of Legends thing. But yeah, because they're already picking up that Rift Herald, and again, Nvision actually on the bottom side to see if they can make something happen, but only real answer is going to be a little bit of zoning on this minion wave, which is going to be bouncing back into MNM anyway. So again, Nvision definitely responding correctly, but not really able to pick up anything off of the correct response as mid lane priority is going to force BB back up into the mid lane, and it's just going to be a dual reset from the mid jungle of MNM Academy. Now, looking towards this next dragon fight in a minute's time, as Harry's trying to get aggressive onto Spark. But yeah, looking towards this next dragon, looking at some of the items, it's actually going to be a Luden to pick up the T-Rex, actually. That is the purchase for himself. So he's going to be dealing a whole heap of damage at this team fight. And having spoken with a few members from different teams across the NLC, actually, something that definitely came up in conversation is how important that normally this third dragon fight is. It seems to be setting the tone for a lot of team fights, a lot of future team fights and just sort of games in general. And given the gold lead that MNM have right now, if Nvision choose to fully commit to fighting for this dragon, which honestly it seems like they might, as Yuna might cost a sleep here.
Looking for it potentially. Going to be dodging away from the shockwave. Only T-Rex is going to be caught now as Yuna has to go gold. The first shot now is on to T-Rex, and now Harry and the Machine in full retreat. They're going to be able to catch Akers, but the cleanse is big enough for him to get away. DBL on the side now, potentially looking for the play. And this will be a 4v5. MNM, no mid laner in this play, has already been taken down as Zero on the side. Not going to be able to find anything. But this does mean that Nvision will be able to start up the dragon. Members of MNM Academy could look to contest, and dropping the mid lane Rift Herald will allow them a little bit of pressure. But this one is going to be burnt down so quickly. Harry's going to be burnt down pretty quickly as well. He needs to be careful about re-engaging. There's the secure on the dragon. DBL takes the Lantern to freedom, and they're going to back away. But you said this one could be a crucial fight, and it's still going on. Nice catch onto BB, who's going to get deleted from the map as the teleport comes in. T-Rex wants to get back into the fight as the tower goes down. It's no respite for Longstaff, who has to flash away and try and get out. They're going to be able to catch Akers with the Death Sentence, though. He's going to go unstoppable, but it's not going to matter. He's going to go down. DBL with the shield is so big. Spark can't pick him up. The second charge is going to come through with the Rift Herald as members of Nvision are too low to defend. They're going to be able to pick up the second tower and another charge potentially from the Rift Herald. This Rift Herald is doing so much work, and yes, Nvision get the dragon, but they lose so much.
Yeah, and Yuna wasn't even able to smite away that Herald on the last charge, so that's a pretty big deal. But we are going to get a replay of this fight, and it's just Yuna honestly just has his passive up, so he's so fast. He gets to sleep onto two members. The shockwave lands onto T-Rex, and that's the important go signal for Nvision to just dive forward onto that member. The rest of MNM have to retreat. It's a nice hook onto Akers to force the cleanse. And then here at the extended play, you have the Lantern out, and it's just a little bit of a disrespect from Pathing, not respecting the fact that, honestly, the Death Sentence can land, and it does flash forward immediately, and they take down BB Muffin, and the rundown onto that mid lane tower with the Herald still there. They do eventually pick up, I actually believe it's Akers gets Death Sentenced. Yeah, there you go. And unfortunately for DBL, Spark still has Flash after all of these shenanigans. So despite a very good Stride Breaker, he's not able to actually bring him back into the Stray. As we come out of the replay, it's actually Nvision trying to siege in as Kazuro. Yeah, I mean, this is just Udyr things.
He just wanders in, tries to get a stun, finds nothing, and it's like, well, I'm just going to walk out again then. See ya. Yeah. If you're not going to play along, then I'm just going to leave. And that's exactly what he does. But Nvision were looking to siege down, got a bit of damage on the tower, but nothing too major. And that mid lane inhibitor tower, very low from Nvision. They're going to have to be very careful about making plays anywhere else on the map, or that one could be an easy target for members of MNM Academy. Look at the back unit trying to land something, won't be able to do so just into the tower, but nice defense comes through right onto Spark. He's the target you want to catch, but Longstaff with the re-engage. Akers picks up the first kill of the fight. Zero looking to get away, will be able to get onto the tower as Akers goes deep. T-Rex has managed to get the kill onto Longstaff as well as the Ornn is burned. On the back, you can see DBL just trying to apply the damage to Spark. Again, can't quite get the kill, but Bean Muffin and Yuna are going to be chased away. That fight was pretty even, but MNM with the healthier health bars can look towards the Baron.
Yeah, the Baron's just spawned, so coincidence of the fight, and no frontliner on the side of... Yuna's on the other side of the map, and realistically, Nvision just can't contest, so gonna be giving this one up. 20-minute Baron, we're gonna have to see how the blue side team actually use this buff. Fights have been so close, and I think in that one, Nvision just overcommitting a little bit too far forward. Underneath the tower, it was a very nice shockwave. I'm sure we'll get a replay of it pretty soon, and Nvision just overcommitting. They just honestly give up so much for it, and we'll see. So Death Sentence connects onto Spark, and that's kind of the go button for MNM to move forward a little bit. The Shockwave clips onto the engages of MNM though, and it gives Nvision the confidence to try and move forward. But you can see Akash just goes too far forward, has to stop, watch up. The other members just get run down by DBL on the backside, and all of the tower damage and feathers coming out from Harry is the important thing. MNM went out real big on the backside of that fight.
It was
another Death Sentence that starts it all up.
it's the night of Death Sentences, and what's crazy about that whole situation was the Death Sentence onto Spark was what started that fight. Spark did not die in that fight. Spark was fine. He managed to get out the back, running away from DBL once again, but Longstaff and Aka's bundling in. The engage looked so good for about 2.5 seconds, and then the engage looked real bad as you realize, oh, T-Rex actually, you know, look at the damage. That's fun. And then DBL running in the back, just like, if you haven't engaged and you're on Nvision, I'm going to punch you. So a good fight turned into quite a rough one, and MNM get the Baron off the back of that. This Baron, probably not a game ender, because we're very early into it still. Nvision not that far behind, but it will definitely allow MNM Academy to try and siege down a couple of these inner towers, try and get some pressure down on the map, and who knows, if they can get another good team fight like that, they could be taking a lot. But Harry... It's caught out by the Shockwave, doesn't go down, but goes pretty low. Needs to be careful if a team fight is going to kick off, and Nvision have found themselves a little bit of a window of safety. They just need to be able to clear out these minions and hopefully weather this Baron storm.
Yeah. Shockwave, definitely a little bit of breathing room there on Harry, but I imagine, well, if he doesn't have Bloodline, he's definitely going to struggle to get some of the HP back. So yeah, just going to take the reset. Or not. All right, well, let's stick around.
Well, Dragon is up in 5 seconds.
They have so much control of this side of the map that realistically Nvision can't. Like, yeah, thank you, Observer, for highlighting that. Nvision have to walk through so many dark spots, and they just don't know whether DBL can just be waiting in a flank. They don't know whether MNM have actually stayed in fog, so just going to give the Dragon over. I think they don't really have to contest this one. They've got 2 in pocket. They know that a potential soul is still well off the cards, and gonna just bide their time. But one thing that I've actually only now just realized is how heavy in a magic damage profile the Nvision draft is. Obviously, Kai'Sa is an AD carry, but a lot of her abilities are relatively magic damage front loaded. Or is the Acathian Rain mixed damage? I've actually never. I don't know.
I believe it's mixed.
It's physical. Looks like it's only physical.
Yeah, it is physical damage.
It's physical, but it has
it has a scaling.
magic damage
it has an AP
scaling.
scaling. Yeah.
Right.
That's
yeah. Thank you, Observer. Really helping me out there. I appreciate that. But you know, effectively only have one AD champion who also actually just has like 20% magic damage in her kit or something along those lines. So, oh, it's the passive, right? That's so front loaded in magic damage. There you go, caster, by the way. You're gonna see MNM.
Analyst, by the way.
Yeah,
Coach, by the way.
Coach, by the way. All of the titles, whatever you want to throw on there. MNM sieging on this top side though, looking to try and take this one down. A lot of poke damage from the feathers. Could just see Nvision retreat back to base temporarily, and could be all the breathing room that MNM need to take down this tower. A couple of pings onto that mid wave, but I think the mid wave is actually shoving in MNM's favor, so I'm not going to feel it's necessary to necessarily commit all but DBL to that mid lane to spread out the pressure. And I mean, Nvision, if they want to fight, they probably have to pull the trigger now on the mid lane, on the top side, whilst they know DBL's on the bottom side in that mid lane. But it would mean they would potentially give up that mid lane tower, which is oh so low from that Herald charge a few minutes ago. And you can see now being dragged around the map a little bit.
But luckily, because the lanes are pretty close to each other at this point, it's not too hard for them to be able to rotate to contest, but the minions crashing in top in this one. There a little bit of time. Aka's looking for the engage, looking for the ultimate, lands it onto Harry, but he's going to be able to ult directly above it. And now they need to be careful. The tower top will be saved, but a lot of chip damage has been done. DBL is ready to rinse and repeat the same play by pushing up this wave mid. The tower gets lower and lower on every attempt. They decided just BB Muffin is needed to clear out this wave this time around, and you can feel that both these teams are ready for a fight, because Nvision can't survive in this manner for too much longer with these towers available. And look, that tower's just been burnt for 0. Now looking for the engage. The Death Sentence will not land this time around. But again, Udo can just walk away. It's very, very little threat to him to just be able to wall out the team fights. And with another objective taken down, MNM are happy to reset.
Yeah, and gonna take away some of the jungle camps on the way out as well. And that's gonna be the final inner tower taken down. So Nvision really backs against the wall in terms of how much control they're going to have over this map. As a quick look at the gold lead, you can see, honestly, biggest gold lead is in this jungler. Yeah, no real surprises. Udyr just been able to kind of farm up a storm, albeit it's not cleanser levels of what we saw a few weeks back, but nonetheless, still very much in the driver's seat, as Harry also has himself a 1,000 gold lead, and as well, DBL on his way to a 2,000 gold lead. Had pretty good impact so far on this set. And it's actually Nvision in front of the Baron as it spawns. I'm not sure if they'll feel like starting it up on spawn, but...
Well, they have started it directly up on spawn. Members of MNM are aware they've placed down Vision with that scry, and now things are going to look dangerous. Longstaff looking for the engage, lands it onto no one though, and is in a lot of trouble. The ultimate has been used, but Longstaff will be burnt through very, very quickly. Harry picks up the kill. Reagan actually picks up the kill on that one. But look at the backside. Spark being chased away by Tyrex, but the rest of the team are just cleaning up house. Members of Nvision, there's the dunk, there's the damage. Double kill for Harry off screen as DBL looking to chase down Ak as he flashes the wall, but Kazero is really quick and has a flash as well. Gets the damage down, is just going to burn through the Ornn. He's gonna just survive a couple more seconds, but it's not enough as members of MNM start moving towards that Baron, while T-Rex cleans up that pesky inhibitor tower and might look to take the first inhib of the game.
And honestly, it's almost kind of frustrating from the side of Nvision, because, you know, they're the ones in the driver's seat of this engage, but they fumble it yet again. They know DBL is gonna have to be a whiles away with the teleport, but it's just not quite enough as Spark forces T-Rex away, not quite able to take that mid lane inhibitor. But honestly, the gold lead kind of just being flexed here. The reason why the fight goes like that is most likely because of the now 11,000 gold lead MNM find themselves in. And you can see Longstaff is just so far ahead of the rest of his team. There can't be a follow-up shockwave. The Ornn only really clips onto Harry, and Spark dives into Narnia in an attempt to actually take down Harry, who pretty much just doesn't really care and just walks with the rest of his front line. Takes down almost everybody except Akers, who is run down in the long term. But I mean, again, Nvision, they're in a position where they're just going to get flanked. They're probably just going to get wiped.
Rinse and repeat. Longstaff starts to get punched as Muffin goes very, very low. Caught in a lot of damage, a nice shockwave, but it's not going to keep him alive. And Harry is just melting through members. DBL standing strong as they're looking to catch out Spark. He's dead. And once again, it's just Akers being bullied by members of MNM. They'll be able to pick him up for the kill. Longstaff actually sneaks out the back of the team fight, so it won't be the ace, but it probably will be the game. Baron buffed up with a third dragon emblem, and now they're looking to take down the base.
Yeah, and MNM should just about make this one happen. Got plenty of minions to work with, all members but the mid laner. This is just going to be MNM closing out the final game of the day, solidifying themselves as the second place team in the league. 5-2 after the round one robin. And certainly be happy with that one as they drop Nvision slightly further down the standings.
And a very, very dominating performance from MNM. And we've had a lot of very one-sided games today, but not necessarily... I'm not looking at that game and thinking, oh my word, Nvision are terrible, right? That's not where I'm at, but I'm sitting here and going, man, MNM are really, really good, you know? They might be able to do some real damage. And you look at teams like MNM here, you look at teams like London from earlier in the day, Resolve are going to have a lot of work to do if they want to keep their undefeated record. So very, very exciting times coming up in the next few days of the UKLC. But Jamada, how dominant were MNM as individuals in that game?
I think in this particular performance, very much so. I mean, one of the things that I've sometimes had criticisms for Nvision is sort of their, much like Enclave actually, just sometimes they are a little bit too lax. They don't really do too much on the map. In this game, they were actually much better in terms of attempting to respond to what MNM were doing. So I can't really say that too much about them this game. It's just that MNM made plays on one side of the map and their weak side respected well enough that they didn't actually drop too much, right? And that's actually something you commonly see in the UKLC, whereas if one team makes a strong side play, their weak side actually often gives up something on the other side. And in this game, they had the Xayah, they had the Thresh. It's a super safe bottom side. And Nvision just didn't really have the tools, realistically, to hard force on the likes of a Xayah and a Thresh. And we saw it time after time, right? There was 2 or 3 plays that were made onto Akers on the top side. And Nvision rotated their numbers down to the bottom side, but they couldn't ever really pick up any kills or even plates.
There was nothing that they could do, and it was a case of Nvision. Yes, sometimes the plays were the MNM when MNM forced plays. Sometimes Nvision were getting stuff off it, but it was never a big objective. It was never worthy of the play that was being made elsewhere. And then MNM started fighting, right? And from that point, they've been forged in the fire of fighting all season. So their team fighting was very, very good. And there were a couple of times when Nvision seemed like they were doing okay. It seemed like the play was good, but in the end, it just turned out it was a little bit overextending to try and continue to fight, or they should have backed off with what they'd already gained. And I'm thinking about that mid lane fight, especially where Aggers and Longstar bundled in on the back of what looked like a good counter disengage from the likes of Spark, and it was just a little bit disjointed for me at times, and overextending cost them fights, and in the end, it cost Nvision the game.
Yeah, like you say, a little bit too disjointed. I feel like that's definitely been a theme, particularly from Longstaff. I think when Nvision look really good, Longstaff is having an okay game. But even in some of their wins, actually, Longstaff has definitely been sort of the crux, right? The sort of the weakest link. I hate to kind of like pick on players like this, but it has definitely been sort of a tendency. In this game, I actually think he had pretty strong engages and reactions to what MNM are doing, but still a little bit too out of sync with the rest of the team, unfortunately. And I feel like that's part of the greater, or one of the smaller reasons as to why we saw MNM take down Nvision in the fashion that we did. But all in all, we still have to credit MNM. I think, generally speaking, their map play was really good. They recognized when they didn't want to actually give over too much when they were making a strong side play, and the gold lead just slowly, well, I'd say slowly, it very quickly ballooned off of the back of many of those plays.
And we're going to find out exactly how that happened from the mind behind it all. We've got Mishka from MNM Academy joining us for an interview. Mishka, massive congratulations on that big win against Nvision. You've got to be pretty happy with how the season's gone so far. 5-2, very good return.
Thank you for the first. No, I'm not happy. I'm sorry. We should be 7-0. For real. We should have won every game this season. The first game versus Resolve was won, but we just drew. And the game versus Bulldog, we just had an off day. And we are aiming to win the competition, and we don't accept losing games for ourselves.
I love how Mishka is spiritually, I'm still there spiritually, apparently, as obviously MNMA, my previous team. But yeah, you say, right, you feel like you should be 7-0, you should, at the bare minimum, right, 6-1, bare minimum.
Yes,
6
agree.
1. So, looking at...
I can understand the Bulldog day, but not the Resolve day, but well, it's normal.
So, looking at, sort of trajectory for the team and how you feel like the development has been, how have you found working in the UKLC, and specifically with this set of players?
I haven't been in the UKLC for a long time, and I didn't even know properly the players before. We did tryouts, and I'm super happy with the roster. Our environment is huge. It's the best environment I have ever had. We have a lot of fans, and at the same time, it's like we work really good and really hard. All the players are hardworking, and I want to give a special shout out to Regan, because he's a rookie and he has been performing really good, and he's like the most hardworking person that you could ever meet in this scene.
I'm happy to hear that as well. Regan, someone I worked with a while ago, happy to see him finally break into UKLC, and especially have a really successful sort of opening start to the split. In terms of prospects, obviously, playoffs is the obvious answer, right? Moving forward, sort of a little further forward, do you feel like you guys have it in you to definitely make it towards Telia?
Yes.
And then also, how do you feel like you sort of stack up against potentially some of the stronger Telia teams, if you've had the time to sort of look at some of those?
Okay, I think we are going to Telia. We will see in the future. It will depend on ourselves and not on enemy teams, for real. If we keep working like this, we will go to Telia, and I hope that tomorrow we are able to beat Resolve and in playoffs as well. Because, for Telia, we have screamed a few teams from there, and, they are good, but I don't think they are anything impressive. And I think we can do a really good job in Telia Masters as well. So we will see.
Nice. I love the confidence. And that was the last thing I was going to ask you, actually, about this matchup tomorrow, going up against Resolve. Of course, that game was so close when you came up against them the first time round. They've now gone undefeated. And are you confident going into that matchup tomorrow?
Yes. Not gonna say anything else.
Nice. I like that. That is cool, calm, collected. And Mishka, massive congratulations on the win in this game. Thoroughly deserved. Team played amazingly well. And good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. And flame a little bit my players because they played bad today. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks so much.
Man, that's the first time that I've actually been able to sit down and even if it's in an interview, sort of saying, speak with Mishka. And I'm glad that spiritually I'm still there to
to flame the players even when they win. You know, you gotta. Yeah. It was the. You must be happy. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
We should be 7-0. And I was like, oh right. Yeah. But that's what you want to have from a coach.
Yeah,
Not sitting there and saying like, we're good, we're second. This is great. You want the coach to be like, right, push on. How do we improve? Where do we go next? And Mishka definitely channeling Papa Jamada in that interview, which is always excellent to hear. But we know you've left MNM Academy. You're now obviously here on the casting desk. Do you want to coach us through one of those plays from that last game?
Sure. Yeah, let's go. I've got the crayons ready. I'm down.
Let's go.
So this is actually the second dragon fight where MNM had already accrued for themselves, as you can see at the top of our screens, a 3,000 gold lead at 10 minutes. Oh, that's a very nice line. At this time, it's actually insane to have a gold lead like this. Typically, you would almost associate gold leads this big at 11 minutes with outright stomps, just for the record. But you can see there's only been one kill that's been picked up. So this is pretty much all come from the topside tower, which they've taken, and in general, Kazuro just kind of gapping Yuna in CS. As you can see here, there's almost a 20 CS lead, about 15 there. So we'll get the play started up, and the setup is MNM already have all of their numbers here, and it's just a very nice hook onto Spark, who's on Vision. But the issue actually is that they commit onto Spark when he's still bound by Rel. So this means that it sets up for a very nice and easy double stun. And whilst they're still stunned up, Longstaff is able to respond by actually making it over the wall with a flash and all of his full combo. And you can see Harry just has his HP bar melted. Pretty much forces every single summoner spell and his ultimate to try and keep him alive. And it now means that Harry is effectively just forced out of the fight. Now, fortunately for him, he's just out of range of that ultimate ultimate as it actually flies wide as well. And as the fight kind of kicks off, it's then split in a way in two different on two different fronts. You've got MNM, Harry and Regan, who end up on this side of the fight, and Kazuro T-Rex and DBL, who kind of end up in this sort of chunk down here. Two very nice circles. There you go. And BB Muffin and Akers on the flank, making their way down from the mid lane to basically quarter off T-Rex and any other members that decide to stay in the river, whilst Yuna is about to make the decision to flash over to try and peel for his bottom side. So we'll get the playing again. And it's just a very nice response from Yuna to attempt to save his support, but it's not quite enough as Kazura basically just flashes over, gets the bear slap down, and all in all, the fight ends up being Nvision favored, actually. They pick up 3 members, or 2 members for themselves, and only drop their support, who died a very long time ago, as the fight actually ends up being extended, and we see MNM just hang around for too long, and they get shockwaved up. And this to me then says, okay, Nvision can probably start the Dragon up, but the issue there was Victor was still up, and we saw that Nvision eventually had to back up from the fight, and it's MNM that pick up that Dragon, and from there, it kind of feels a bit off for Nvision, because then they don't have an immediate Dragon Soul condition, and they kind of just slowly get rolled over by MNM in terms of gold. And then when the fights finally did happen, they were pretty MNM favored, albeit very hectic in a lot of them.
It was a case of the fights didn't always look the cleanest from either team, but MNM were consistently finding wins. And if you're in a position where you can find a win, keep fighting for every single kill, every single tick of damage, and you're coming out consistently on top, that's a good fight for you, regardless of how it looks to the observer, how it looks in terms of if every single ability is hitting its mark. And MNM Academy, regardless of what Mishka said, will probably be reasonably happy to be at 5-2. They want to be better. They want to be in their #1 spot, but coming in at second place is no bad thing at the halfway point of the season, because there's still plenty of games to be played. But let's have a look back at some of the games that we saw today, some of the highlights here, because there were a lot of very fast games and very short games today, but there were some really awesome team fights.
Yeah, and honestly, as we see our first game of the day brought up on our screens, yeah, just a lot of short games, realistically. I think the Barrage game was 24 minutes. It kind of just ended up sweeping the enemies to the wayside. And off the back of a pretty good game from King, and I mean,
What else
just
could it
thinking
be?
back to the heat-seeking hooks that Hefe had in Game 2 versus Bulldog, it was honestly a very big treat to watch. And here, at this point, the game is well and truly over. And they find out Hachi another heat-seeking hook, who would have guessed? And honestly, MVP of the day for me has to be that. Has to be Hefe, as this fight,
Definitely.
I believe the final fight of the Resolve Demise game. And unfortunately for Demise, despite a very positive draft in my eyes, not quite able to execute on it, fall too far behind, too many kills go over the soft in the early game. And the game that we just saw on our screens, MNM versus Nvision, ended up being a bit of a bloodbath, but realistically only favored in MNM's side. And ultimately, MNM take the game off of the back of this fight. Actually, they get the Baron off the back of that clip, and it kind of snowballs into a greater lead where Nvision don't really have much in terms of a response.
Yeah, we're going to be having a quick look at the standings to show exactly how all the teams are now sitting after today. And of course, this is after the first round robin, so everyone has played everyone, and this is how we're looking. Resolve remain kings of the league, 7-0 undefeated going into the second round, but a lot of teams wanting revenge, especially we heard MNM Academy and London Esports sitting behind them in second and third. Demise still only with that one win, but with a more confident draft and a little bit better gameplay, they're going to feel confident going into the second round, taking on the likes of Enclave, who we also saw lose today. So all over the I was going to say the map, but all over the leaderboard, there's really promising matchups. And let's have a look at the games that we're going to be seeing tomorrow, because there's instantly some very, very exciting ones to look at. Obviously, my eyes have to be drawn towards that Resolve MNM game, but maybe even more exciting on the other end of the table, Demise versus Bulldog to open up the day. That's going to be a very, very exciting match.
Yeah, now, Demise looking a little bit better in terms of draft. Now, if they're versus a weaker team, and especially a team like Bulldog who are on the downward trend, you could honestly expect to see them actually pick up their second win of the split. And that would be a very big deal. If they can pick up a win after a very promising, sort of set of games, obviously the Resolve game was a bit of a wash, but it's almost to be expected. It can really set the pace for them. Demise, the last split, they had a very terrible start as well, but they pulled through and they actually made it all the way to playoffs and almost all the way to Telia. So it is doable. It is just going to be a very tough road. And honestly, all throughout tomorrow, we're going to have pretty exciting games.
Yeah, there's not a bad game tomorrow, right? And it's the joy of watching a league with 8 teams who are all reasonably close, and even the teams at the very bottom can put up a fight, and the teams at the very top can stumble at times. Well, except Resolve, obviously.
Except Resolve,
but
apparently.
There's a lot of a desire and ambition to beat them in the second half of the season, which is going to be very, very exciting. But that is all the games that we have for you this evening. But don't worry, we've got plenty more, as you saw on that schedule. So make sure you join us tomorrow, same time, same place, wherever you're watching us at home, because we'll have 4 amazing matches. And you know what, Jamado, it's been so fun. I might stay. I might stick around for another day I just want to see that MNM Resolve match, and then we'll see. We'll see from there. We'll see how it goes from there. But thank you so much for joining myself, Viperune, and Jamada as well. And from everyone here, we appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow.